Welcome to the Speak PR podcast. My name is Jim James and I'm your host. And today I'm delighted to have Nick Hems, who is a stylist on the Speak PR podcast. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Jim.
Now, Nick, we're talking because you help people to look good. So can you just talk to us a little bit about how an individual, a business owner, can start to ensure that they're instilling confidence in the people they're going to be talking to about their business?
I think first of all, we start with they've got to have confidence in themselves. So I think it's about finding their own inner confidence and authenticity through the way that they appear, their clothing, their body language, and that's where it starts. Because I think it's your duty to you've got to look like a leader first of all. In order to kind of get the buy-in from people. But then there needs to be a certain amount of authenticity there with that. So you need to feel like a leader and believe that you are, and that you need to find the right reflection in the way that you dress so that it's still you.
So Nick, that's a great point about needing to feel confident, but actually what impact can clothing and grooming have on making someone actually feel confident? Because people may not feel confident, right? So clothing and what you do and what you invest in yourself, not actually just in money, right, which is tight at the minute, but timing, that can impact how people feel, right? Can you just talk to us about what you can do to feel good by how you dress yourself?
I think the thing that I've been talking to a lot of my clients about when they come to me is style personality, which no one really kind of gets or understands what it is. But it's not just about this, I've got to look good. Because what does that mean, really? Like, I could never dress two people in exactly the same way because it just doesn't work. To look good, you've got to feel good. And that is individual to everyone. Everyone has a personality and a way that they are. And I think it's finding that through the clothing that you wear is really, really important. So that then people see through what you're wearing, that reflection in your personality. And it's the strongest way you can bring yourself about authentically, by dressing in a certain way. So we can say, yes, we'll dress you in a suit, but what suit? What colours are we going to use? What's the cut of the suit? And that's got to reflect who you are.
And then presumably we're talking to business owners here. How does someone determine, what they would look good in? Most people have been told probably by their wife or a girlfriend or by their husband or boyfriend what they look good in. But can you give people some ideas of what to look for? Like if they've got £100 to go and refresh their wardrobe before they start work coming out of lockdown, what would be some key, if you like, items to go out and purchase that are pretty much winners for every occasion?
I think, obviously, if you've got a suit already, let's assume you've got a suit. I think then it's about how you accessorize that suit, because you can have a non-expensive suit. Let's just say the first thing, actually, before we say anything else, is let's make sure whatever you've got fits. That's the most important.
I think that's a great point, right?
Because that's the first point where the majority of people fall down. They have clothes that may look all right, but they don't fit properly.
So what they could even do then is to take something and have it refitted at the tailor's.
Absolutely.
15, £20 maybe, and get the sleeves shortened or things taken in or out, whichever way the lockdown has impacted people's physiques, right?
Because it's not just about how we dress, what the clothes we wear. It's about people's perception of us. And I think when you're wearing something that it might be really expensive, or might have a label brand, but if it doesn't fit correctly, it looks terrible. And people's perception are, you look a bit sloppy, you're probably sloppy in the way that you work. So first thing I'd do is make sure that whatever items of clothing I actually like, they fit me correctly. And then I'd start to look at, right, I've got a bit of money to spend. Let's look at how I accessorize my look, how I can add to my look without spending too much money. That gives me a bit of variety from day to day.
And when you say accessorize, you're thinking about things like what, pocket handkerchiefs maybe, or for ladies, brooches, necklaces?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, how can I? It's almost like you're saying, right? If I've got a suit to wear, how can I change the look of this suit throughout the week? So it doesn't look like I'm wearing the same thing, and it looks like I really care about what I wear. Because accessories, when you've got kind of accessories and a bit of detail, it makes you look as if you care, and people pick up on that even if they don't necessarily know it straight away.
Okay, and I've got a question. In Asia, where I lived, having an expensive watch was kind of a rite of passage.
Mm.
What would be your view? Is it that it needs to be an expensive watch, or if it's a cheap watch, not to wear it? I personally have several different watches, one with, a black and one with a brown leather, different straps. What's your view on watches, which for many people, especially for men, often is the only jewelry they wear?
Yeah, I think watches are a really, really powerful, strong accessory. Not everyone has the budget to go out and buy
Yeah.
an expensive watch,
And do you need
but
to? Yeah.
no,
Does it?
I don't think you need to whatsoever. I just think that a watch is is a really nice, a timepiece is a really, really nice accessory for a man. I think it's about finding that timepiece that's going to fit with what you're wearing. And for me, that's an important thing. You can play around with, whether it's a leather strap, whether it's a metal strap or a mesh strap or whatever it might be, but it needs to go with what you're wearing.
Right. So it may be almost better to buy two lower cost watches,
Absolutely.
one casual and one formal. I was looking at Swatch; they're about £40, and you can buy a really nice looking watch, very functional. So maybe even
Yeah,
to
and
mix it up,
watches
have
don't need to. You can buy some really, really exceptional looking watches from £100. You really can, but you just need to do your research.
And let's just talk about shoes, and because obviously women and men go shopping for shoes. What about the alignment? I'm personally quite big on the sort of leather of the belt and the shoes being the same color. Um, any views on shoes? There you go. There's the strap line. The views on the shoes
Using shoes,
from Nick.
yeah, for me, that your shoes set off the entire look. You can have a really expensive suit, really well fitted suit, as we've just spoken about,
Yeah.
and you're wearing the wrong shoes. They completely take away from the entire look. So getting shoes right is really, really important to a look, and making sure that you care for them as well, in the right way, and that's imperative to a
Yeah.
strong look.
So maybe shoes, it's sort of, if it's a formal look, you just need formal shoes, don't have to be expensive, but it's not the suit and trainers, for example.
Yeah, no,
Like,
no, yeah. I mean, you don't have to have expensive shoes. I mean, I'd always look to spend what I can afford on shoes. So, um, because I think with shoes, you come at it from a cost per wear basis. Sometimes you can go out and buy a cheap pair of shoes and buy three times
yeah,
before the good pair of shoes would have run out.
yeah. Well, and especially now for those of us with children, my daughter bought a pair of Doc Martens shoes last week with her mother, and I finally treated myself to a pair of shoes that are as expensive as my children's shoes. So I think as we look at those as being an essential item, right? And also they last 3, 4, 5 years. So it'd be a false
Absolutely.
economy. Now, what about having clothing to match the occasion? Because one thing is to, sort of be wearing a uniform every day, but you know, I used to have a client that said, if he's had good results, he was a listed company, good results, he wore sort of an open neck looking relaxed. But if it was bad results, he'd have a tie and a jacket on to show he was serious. Any thoughts, Nick, about, dressing for the occasion and for the audience, staff, for example, maybe versus a supplier or
I
a
think you've
customer?
always got to dress. I say always. I think you should dress for the occasion and also dress for the environment that you're in. So it depends whether you're going back and now we're at the moment coming out of lockdown, hopefully soon, and whether that's you're going to be looking for a new job in the future and you're going for an interview, doing your research on where you're going, having a look at what they wear, where you're going, and dressing for that right environment. Or as you say, it's the occasion where you're making a formal statement to a group of people, or you've got to come back and let's just say, like, people have made people redundant recently,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's a
many.
really, really sad thing. But if that's you that's delivering that, then I think, out of respect, you should think about what you're wearing, because you don't want to come in your really expensive suit and Rolex watch and saying, really sorry, we can't afford to keep you on. We're going to have to let some of you go, because it just paints a really, really bad picture, and you leave people with a bad taste in their mouth. So absolutely, dressing for your environment and dressing for the situation. Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned here about, staff and teams. What's your view on sort of the importance of clothing, not just as a uniform, but as sort of a dress code? What advice do you give to business owners that maybe run a shop or a therapy center, for example? Any views on, how that can impact morale, but also on standards?
Yeah, I think every company has a brand, whether they know it or not. It's a way that they want to be perceived. I'll give this example. There was a bathrooms shop not far away from me. Really, really nice inside. Staff were dressed reasonably well. They had a car that was parked up outside, branded car, but it was filthy dirty. This absolutely disgusting. I don't want to washed it for months. But then you walk past and you look at that, and then that is reflective of the brand, and that's the car. So when you have your staff, and if your staff are out on the road and seeing clients, they should be given guidance as to what to wear. I don't think, unless you're wearing a uniform, you shouldn't be told you have to wear this. But I think there should be guidance on what people wear, so that they actually reflect your brand.
Now, from a commercial point of view, I heard that if you have the name of the company on the item of clothing, you can offset that against tax. So if you were to give people shirts, for example, or jackets with the name of the company on it or the logo, that's a tax deductible item. So that's just also worth thinking about.
Okay. Well, there you go. I learned something here.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, I'm wearing a white shirt. I must get a buy.
Where's your branding?
I know. I need to write my name on the Speak PR podcast on the name of my shirt. The chap I interviewed yesterday has a branded shirt in Arizona. And then what about in terms of people sort of transitioning now to homework? What's your view on the sort of Zoom outfit? It's had some reviews. People should be dressing down, dressing up, dressing to go to work on Zoom. What's your view, Nick, on creating a good impression online?
Again, I think it's dressing for the environment. Who are you? Not necessarily your home environment, but the environment you're transporting into. So really and truly, I wouldn't be wanting to dress too dissimilarly from how I would be if I was going into that meeting in an actual real life office. Yeah, fair enough. You might be wearing smart on top, shorts, pajama bottoms, whatever underneath. No one's ever going to see that. You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, you still have to set the tone by what you wear. But then there are other factors to consider as well when you're on Zoom. And I think the way you dress is one very important factor, but then your lighting and the sound become just as important, because people can't see all of your body language. They can't see all of you. They can't see your, everything that you've got to offer as if you were in an office. So you need to project yourself in the right way, and lighting and sound help you do that.
Mm-hmm. And then are there some colors that you think really work and some that don't? Can you give us some clues? Because if people are thinking, well, that's all great, Nick, but if I go shopping, what should I, should I buy black things? Should I buy blue things? If you were to sort of have a starter kit for men and women, could you give us some idea of, a basic, if you like, starter kit from a clothing perspective?
I think
in terms of colors.
If we're talking about colors and we're talking about men, then the world's favorite color is blue. And blue is quite a calming color in a way. Yeah. So if you're just looking at, right, what can I do? It's reasonably neutral. It's available everywhere. It's the world's most loved color.
Right.
I think if you're looking at ties, pocket squares, whatever it is, and you're looking at that as to buy something to go with your suit, then blue. If you're looking at the actual suit, me personally, I'd stay away from black. I prefer like a navy blue suit or a grey suit. because it's more of a generic suit. You can wear that
Right.
to many different places. Whereas for me, a black suit is just a bit too dull. It's funeral-like.
Right.
You wear it to a
Yes. Right.
funeral. It's not something that necessarily you want to be wearing to a business meeting.
And then in terms of where you get your inspiration from, Nick, if people are looking at, looking for sources of style and information, um, where do you go? Do you think Pinterest is, Pinterest is good, but you got to know how to find stuff on Pinterest? We used to go to GQ, for example,
Mm.
when I was younger. Can you give maybe two or three places, either on YouTube or on the
I'd
newsstands that you recommend?
say, depending on where you are in the process of um, style, where you want to be, I'd say that there are a number of good people on YouTube that you can follow that give advice on style and dressing, and they're not hard to come across,
Right.
literally at all. They'll give you advice. If it's more inspiration about what to wear, I'd look on somewhere like Instagram
Right.
and do some digging around and find people that are around your age range, that are, they're representing kind of a look that you like, and
Right.
follow them and look back on their historic photos. Um, Without pitching myself here too much, if you are lost at where to go completely, consult with someone, have a conversation with
Yeah.
an image coach
Well,
or
Nick, that's why we've got you on the show. So, do you want to just tell people where they can find you, Nick? Because you're obviously a guru. You're here in the UK. So, can you just tell people where they can find you, and I'll also put this in the show notes?
yeah, sure. So my website is Nick Hems Style, HEMS style.co.uk. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at I am Nick Hems. And then all the contact details are there.
Wonderful. Well, Nick, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll include those again in the show notes. But Nick Hems, who's a stylist based here in the UK, I've worked with him personally and really enjoyed that experience, which is why I've invited him onto the show to share today. So thanks very much for listening to this episode of Speak PR. Nick, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Jim. Cheers.
And if you'd like this and any more information, please do subscribe to the podcast, which you can find on iTunes and on Stitcher. And of course, you can find us at eastwestpr.com with these podcasts, plus also Cognition, our newsletter. And if you would like to write me an email, please do jim@eastwestpr.com. So with that, I'd like to wish you great health and a profitable business, and that you keep on dressing well.